I remember the first thing I noticed wasn't her face. It was her voice. Soft, steady, almost careful, like each word had been weighed before it left her lips. We were sitting across from each other in a small cafe, the late afternoon sun slanting through the window and catching in her hair. She had chosen the seat facing the light, and I didn't question it at the time. I was too busy trying to figure out how I'd ended up there. "You look nervous," she said, wrapping her hands around a mug of coffee. "I've had unusual setups before," I admitted, forcing a small laugh. My friend didn't really give me much detail this time. She smiled slightly, like she already knew more than I did. "What did he say?" "That you were different," I shrugged. "He said I should keep an open mind." Her eyes held mine for a moment, searching, as if trying to measure exactly how open my mind really was. "And are you?" "I try to be." She nodded, but there was something in her expression that suggested she wasn't convinced. We talked for nearly an hour. About work, about music, about the quiet little habits people carry without realizing. She was easy to talk to, surprisingly so. There was no awkward silence, no forced laughter, just a steady rhythm of conversation that felt real. But something felt off. Not in a way I could explain. Just small things. The way she never fully turned her face toward me when the sunlight shifted. The way her hair seemed intentionally styled to fall along one side. The way her left hand would occasionally lift, almost instinctively, as if to adjust something that wasn't there. When she finally excused herself to go to the restroom, I let out a breath I didn't realize I'd been holding. My phone buzzed almost immediately. It was Jason. "Well," his message read. "You still there?" "Yeah," I typed back. "She's nice. Why'd you make it sound so mysterious?" There was a pause, then 3 dots, then nothing. Before I could press further, she returned. "Everything okay?" she asked, sitting back down. "Yeah," I said quickly, slipping my phone into my pocket. "Just a friend checking in." She studied me for a second, then gave a small nod. "Friends do that when they're worried you might run." I blinked. "Run?" "Never mind," she said quietly. The rest of the date passed in a strange blur. Not bad, not uncomfortable, just unfinished somehow. Like there was a sentence hanging in the air that neither of us was willing to complete. When we stepped outside, the sky had shifted into that soft blue of early evening. Cars passed, people moved around us, life continuing in its usual rhythm. "I had a good time," I said. "Me too," she replied. There was a pause, a moment where something unspoken hovered between us. Then she took a breath. "Before you decide anything," she said, her voice steady but softer than before, "I need to show you something." I felt a slight tension rise in my chest. "Okay." She reached up slowly, her fingers brushing through her hair. And then she moved it aside. Time didn't stop. It didn't slow down. But something inside me did. The left side of her face was marked by deep, uneven scars. The skin was discolored, pulled slightly tight in places. The texture rough and unmistakably different. It wasn't something you could glance at and ignore. It demanded to be seen. My body reacted before my mind could catch up. A slight flinch. A flicker in my eyes. Something small, but enough. She saw it. Of course she did. Her hand dropped, but she didn't look away. "Is appearance really that important?" she asked. The question landed heavier than anything she'd said all evening. I opened my mouth, but nothing came out. Because the honest answer wasn't simple. I hesitated. I didn't know. "I know," she said gently. "That's kind of the point." I frowned slightly. "What do you mean?" She glanced away for a moment, then back at me. "Jason thought you were a good person." That made something twist in my chest. "You know Jason?" She nodded. "We met through a volunteer group last year. He told me about you, said you were genuine, said you weren't like most people." I let out a slow breath. "So this was, what, a test?" Her expression tightened just slightly. "Not a test. An opportunity." "For what?" "For honesty," she said. The streetlight above us flickered on, casting a soft glow over the sidewalk. I could feel my thoughts colliding, trying to rearrange themselves into something that made sense. "You could have told me," I said finally. "I could have," she agreed. "But then you would have prepared your reaction. You would have chosen your words more carefully, and I wouldn't know if any of it was real." That stung because she wasn't wrong. "I'm not a bad person," I said, a little more defensively than I intended. "I didn't say you were." But you set this up like I was going to fail. She shook her head. No, I set it up because I'm tired of people pretending. Her voice didn't rise. It didn't need to. I've had dates where everything was perfect, she continued, until I showed them. Then suddenly they had somewhere else to be. Or they'd say all the right things, but their eyes would change. Like yours just did. I swallowed hard. I'm not blaming you, she added quietly. It's human. But I need to know who I'm actually sitting across from. Silence stretched between us. Cars passed. Someone laughed in the distance. Life kept moving. I didn't mean to react like that, I said after a moment. I know, she replied. But I did. Yes. The honesty of it sat heavy between us. I don't know what to say, I admitted. Then don't say anything you don't mean, she said. For the first time since she'd revealed her scars, she looked tired. Not physically, but something deeper. Like she had lived this exact moment too many times before. I got these when I was 19, she said after a pause. Apartment fire. Wrong place, wrong night. I listened, unsure if I should speak. I survived, she continued, which is something I'm grateful for every day. But people don't always see that part first. Her eyes met mine again. They see this, she said, gesturing lightly to her face. And they decide who I am before I even get a chance. A lump formed in my throat. I didn't decide who you are, I said quietly. No, she agreed. But you felt something. I couldn't deny it. Yeah, I said. She nodded, as if that was the only answer she needed. I should go, she said softly. Something in me panicked at that. Wait, I said quickly. She paused. I meant what I said earlier, I continued. I had a good time. Before everything, she gave a faint smile. Before you knew. Yeah. And now? I hesitated. Because this was the moment. The real one. Not the version where I said the right thing. Not the version where I tried to look like a better person than I was. Just the truth. I don't know yet, I said. She studied me carefully. And then, to my surprise, she smiled. Not a polite smile. Not a guarded one. A real one. Thank you, she said. For what? For not lying. She turned to leave, but then stopped. If you want to see me again, she added, call me when you know your answer. And then she walked away. I stood there for a long time after she was gone. The city moved around me unchanged. But something inside me had shifted. That night I couldn't sleep. Not because of her scars, but because of my reaction to them. I replayed the moment over and over. The flinch. The hesitation. The discomfort. And then I replayed everything else. Her voice. Her laugh. The way she listened without interrupting. The way she chose her words like they mattered. I realized something that made my chest tighten. If I had never seen her scars, I would have called her the next day without hesitation. I would have been excited, curious, hopeful. So what changed? Just her face. That was it. And somehow that had been enough to shake everything. I sat in the dark, staring at the ceiling, feeling something uncomfortable settle in my chest. It wasn't guilt. Not exactly. It was recognition of how quickly we judge, of how deeply appearance is wired into the way we see people, and how easily we let it outweigh everything else. The next morning I picked up my phone. I stared at her number for a long time. Then I called. She answered on the third ring. Hey, she said. Hey, I replied, my voice steady but my heart not. There was a brief silence. So, she said, do you know your answer? I took a breath. Yeah, I said. And? I swallowed. I don't have it all figured out, I admitted. But I know this. I liked you before I knew. And the only thing that changed was something that shouldn't define you. She didn't respond right away. I'm not going to pretend it didn't affect me, I continued. It did, but I don't want to be the kind of person who lets that be the deciding factor. A long pause. Then quietly, that's a hard thing to admit. Yeah, I said, it is. Another pause. Okay, she said finally. Okay? Okay, she repeated, a softness in her voice that hadn't been there before. We can try again. A small smile spread across my face. Yeah, I said. I'd like that. And for the first time since I'd met her, everything felt honest. Not perfect, not easy, but real. And somehow that mattered more than anything else.